What's good, everybody? What's good? We are back,
Yes, we are.
and we are now here to talk about our segment of sports car and open wheel. We do cover on the Corner Entry podcast all racing for the most part, whether it's open wheel, stock car, and sports car racing. So you will get both of that here. Where on this episode, we're going to be talking about F1 racing in Canada. We're going to talk about the 24 hours at Le Mans. And of course, we got to get down with the IndyCar gateway. So how do you want to start this off?
I guess we'll start off with Le Mans. Le Mans. I want to go there sometime.
Of
Have some
course, I mean you
baguettes.
have to. You have no, baguettes ain't nothing. I'm not a big bread person. I'm good.
You're not a big. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're not a big bread person. No, no. But so yeah, Le Mans. I mean, it was. Did you watch any of it?
I did catch the highlights because I was out all day Saturday, and by the time I
Okay.
got back, I was like dog tired. I had to go see a couple of my friends' kids play flag
Okay.
football, so I was
Well,
out all day.
it was a domination on pole by Cadillac. Cadillac took 1, 2, and 3 of the spots. Team his name I can't even pronounce his name. Hertz, Team Jota, which is Hertz. One of the teams is driven by former F1 driver Jensen Button, but they took first and second in qualifying with a new lap record at that. So I mean, it was a good start to the race. Cadillac was strong at the beginning. We even had one of our American team, two American teams over there. I'm sorry, you had the team Wheeling Cadillac GTP from IMSA over there, as well as the Wayne Taylor Racing GTP of is it Cadillac V Series, something like that, GTPR. Anyway, the Wayne Taylor boys, they're from Florida. Got the twin brothers Jordan and Ricky Taylor over there with their family friend. They call it Felipe Albuquerque. Um, so Cadillacs looked good early. Only problem is they looked good early, and that was about it. Um,
He
the
said
US
the fact that they looked good early. That's it. They looked good early.
that was about it. And before we get into that, let me just give a shout out. The LMGT3 poll. That's a GT3 class over there. They call it Le Mans GT3. The Heart of Racing. Aston Martin took pole in the GT3. Shout out. You know, um, that team is near and dear to our hearts. It's not it's not the same exact team that races over here in the states, but it is satellite team, same drivers, teammates, and all. So I was happy to see that beautiful blue Aston on pole for GT3s. Um, that being said, back to the Cadillac attrition, it was absolutely insane. The Cadillacs, they were good on their single lap pace, but after that, it just when it came down to overall race pace, they fell like a rock in water. It was pretty bad to
Your
to see
analogy
that.
is ridiculous.
Why?
He said it felt like a rock in water.
You put a rock in water, it just sinks to the
I
bottom,
know.
man.
That's what I'm like. Dang.
That's what happened. They went from the front to the back real quick. It's unfortunate to see, but I mean, when that happened, they always says what is it? The cream rises to the top. I can't remember what that saying is. Something
He
like
said
that.
the cream rises to the top. I have heard something similar to
You
that.
heard some?
Not
Okay,
those exact words, but I've heard something similar to that, but
yeah.
not the same.
So when it comes down to it, you tell me if you heard this name before. Penske, the Penske Porsches, huh?
Who hasn't heard of Roger Penske?
Exactly. The Penske Porsches showed up, into the race. The six car and the five car were very strong. And then you had the defending champion Ferraris, who have won the last two. The factory Ferraris, the 51 and the 50, were very strong. And also the AF Corsa Ferrari, driven by Robert Kubica, former F1 driver, um, was piloting, I guess you could say, the customer Ferrari. Um, so they had a very good battle throughout the race. The Ferraris and Porsche just seemed to have the legs for the duration of the race, especially when it came to that nighttime. They just separated themselves, and it was unfortunate. The number five Penske car just happened to have issues. I think it was a pit speeding penalty, which was their downfall. Which I mean was pretty unfortunate because you have all the speed, and you just little things like getting into the pits, it just happens to not, I guess, be second nature. Not say second nature, but you have your issues to where you just don't hit the speed limiter on time, or there's something in the electronics that messed up. But with that being said, that gave the lead to the '83 AF Corsa Ferrari. And I think in the last couple of years, when AF Corsa was strong, the Ferrari factory teams at 50 and 51 said, "Hey, you're the customer team. Move over, let the factory boys do this." But this year, it seemed like the AF Corsa Ferrari team was just on another level. And shout out to Robert Kubica. He happened to be piloting that car, and after two near death experiences in racing, he came through and won the race, and the customer team, you know, pulled victorious. Yeah, look at that beautiful yellow car right there.
I think hey,
Look at that
that's the
beautiful yellow car.
highlights I saw was great. Let's give it up for the dark horse Mustang. Grant, they were in the support Ford Challenge where they actually had what's his name, John
I forgot
Farley.
about that race. Yeah, they
They
had
had
John
John
Farley,
Farley, CEO of Ford. He
yeah,
did he
Frankie
did
Muniz.
race in there, so Frankie Muniz was in there.
Yeah,
So
love that race.
I'm still learning about how that all works, and but Dark Horse got a podium last year
Hmm.
in their first, but then this year they didn't make it to that one, but
Yeah.
um, so those were a little bit different. So in the beginning, when I was looking up it, and I was like, okay, cool. Will Dark Horse do it again? But I'm like, they're not
Hmm.
actually in the actual race. They're in the
Yeah.
supporting challenge race.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a different thing for me to realize. But when it came to the Le Mans, like you were saying, Caddy didn't. They started off and then quickly drifted back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And so they had to find out the hard way that it ain't just because you qualify, don't
Yeah.
mean you gonna finish.
Exactly. And I wanted to say, I wish there's a way we could bring up the pictures, but Robert Kubica, if anybody who has been a sports car or an F1 fan for a long time has seen his journey to where
Yes.
he had a horrible F1 accident back in, I think it was 2007, 2008, at Montreal. And then after that, in 2011, he was about to sign a deal to drive for F1, for Ferrari F1, until he got into a rally crash that almost took his life. So then he couldn't sign the Ferrari deal,
So
and that
see,
kind
this
of regulated
shows you
him.
right here. This shows
Yeah,
you why it's bigger than granted, winning at Le Mans is one of the I don't care what movie you watched or anything if you follow racing.
yeah.
Winning at Le Mans is big. Now, granted, this is not Ferrari's first win either, ever.
Hmm.
This
No, it's 3 years in a row.
yes. They've won three of them.
All three of
Two
their
of those
cars have
races.
won.
So you got to realize Ferrari is getting it done over there.
They're getting it
People are
done.
trying to figure out how can we be like Ferrari. So for him to adversity,
Hmm.
getting more than one chance or what people consider cheating death, depending on what you believe in. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to politic religion. I have mine and what I believe. Somebody might believe something different. But when you have all these chances and to
Hmm.
still want to get into a vehicle that has almost taken your life twice to come back and now win at Le Mans,
In a
it's the
Ferrari.
most beautiful thing. It's almost like a surreal moment with it. Like it almost bring a grown man to tears to know, like tears of joy.
Yeah,
Like that chapter has been complete for him now. Like, okay, boom. I
yeah,
still got it. I overcame all of this.
yeah,
This is what I be talking about when I just tell people, keep a go smack mentality. And ain't too much you can't accomplish. As long as you have the willpower and your body is able. Now, if he wasn't able to drive again, that's something different. But he was able to heal up and drive
yeah.
again and actually compete.
Compete at the highest level of sports car racing, and like I said, he lost that contract for Ferrari in F1, but he's able to drive for Ferrari in the World Endurance Championship and got to win in the biggest endurance race in the world for Ferrari. So shout out to Robert Kubica for
We
never
talk
for
about
never
how the
giving up.
customer team took down the Giants at that. It was a
Yeah,
customer's team.
it's still crazy though. Ferrari's won 3 years in a row. Each car, they have their own two cars. The 51 won in 23, 51 in 24, now the 83 and 25. They keep trying to do BOP to or balance the performance to make these cars more even. And these cars are just Ferrari's on another level. I Lord, I wish the Ferrari F1 team would act like the Ferrari WEC team because Ferrari F1 needs some help. Good
Mind you,
God.
I forgot to put. I had this written down in my notes that it's the first time a customer team has won in 20 years.
Oof. Yeah, I didn't even know that. Really? In 20 years. So what's that? 2005 was the last
Yep,
time?
2005.
Who won in
Telling my age right
2005?
now.
Hold on. Who won in 2005? Don't tell me.
Let me see. Oh yeah, because
Oh
I don't
man.
know, but I want to see if you know. Let me see. I ain't gonna
Hold
tell you.
on.
You just tell me when.
You gotta look up the
Oh, hold
2005
on. Yeah,
results. Let me try and
I'm
see
finna
who
tell
won
you.
in 2005. I want to
Ooh,
say it was an
ooh.
was it a
You almost got it. You almost got to say it.
was it Audi?
Yes.
It was an Audi. Okay, who was the customer team for Audi back then? It could have been Tom Christensen. Was it?
Uh,
What number was the car?
it was Tom. It
It was
was
Tom Christensen
JJ
in
Leto,
05?
Tom Christensen, and Marco Werner
They were
drove
a customer team?
the sister champion car to victory.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, yeah, sister champion that. Yeah, that wasn't a factory team. Man,
Okay, let me find you know a little
dang.
something. Let me find you know a
You
little
know, I
something.
don't this,
You
yeah,
know
I
a
don't want to
little
forget
something.
some stuff. You know, my wife says I forget a lot of stuff, but I
Oh,
got a
I
lot
hope
of
she's not listening to
random
this because she's gonna be like, "What? I know you, but if I asked you 20 years ago who was the daggone leading Cup Series champ, you gonna tell me?
I can't remember to go, take out the garbage last night or anything. But it happens like that
Hey, you know,
sometimes.
it's called selective memory.
I got a lot of random stuff floating around in my head there.
So just maybe
That's
if you're excited, if it wasn't exciting, that wasn't exciting.
exactly
That was an exciting time. But shout out to I want to pronounce his name wrong.
Robert Kubica.
Yeah, Kubica. I always want to say
Kubica.
Kubica.
Robert Kubica.
Yeah, Robert Kubica. So, like I said, I have it written down in my notes, and I'm gonna say his name wrong. I do
It's
know
all
that.
right. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So it's like shout out to him getting another chance again to show how great he is and how great life is, because that's what you call not just like existing, that's living.
hmm
After all of that and still living, and that's a story that I hope kids hear and use it as, especially because it's about the children, and people who are just down whether a situation didn't work out for them. These type of stories right here, where granted, I mean, he's racing in a Ferrari. That's a little bit different, what some people might say, but if you just take all that away and be like, he still made two comebacks and still won. I don't care if it's winning in racing. I don't care if it's winning at a corporate level. I don't care, regardless. In college, high school, you fall down, you can get back up as long as your body's able to and your mental is there, and you can still accomplish stuff. This guy shows you right now how he's able to do it.
Yeah, man.
And he's human. He's not AI. He's human. So let's now kick it off. What happened in Canada?
All right. So, good old Canada, good old Canada. So, Mercedes is on pole. Good old George Russell on pole there. Good for him. On pole. Max Verstappen qualified in second, and I believe was it Oscar Piastri or it was a McLaren in third. But either way, it was a um,
I believe
it was an
Hamilton started
interesting
in
race.
fifth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My boy
Leclerc
Hamilton
started
started.
in seventh, I think.
My boy Hamilton started in fifth. And green lights and the way they go. George had an amazing start, so shout out to him. He did pretty well there. Held off Verstappen. The whole F1 community was praying to the heavens that Verstappen and Russell were going to collide going into turn one because of their history.
Oh, yo, that was crazy when it went into
Ooh,
that first turn. I said, yo,
we were hoping for it. We were all hoping for it, but it didn't happen. George got an amazing start, so it's good for him. What really was really unfortunate was the fact Lewis had pace. Lewis had pace at the beginning of the race. He showed it in practice. He showed it in qualifying. He could have fought for a podium until
yeah,
disaster struck. Do you
yeah.
know what happened?
He even said in I forgot what lap that was.
It was early in the race. It was
Yeah,
like
but he
within the
was like,
first 10 laps.
well, I'm talking about what after that when he was just like, yo, I don't have pace in this race. I don't.
Do you know why he didn't have pace?
Why?
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody's queasy, let's just get this out the way. There's something that happens every year at this track, and I mean, I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. There are these little critters called groundhogs. Every single year, the groundhogs just happen to spring
About
up
that
when
race.
it's race time. You see him run across the track, oh, these little cute little groundhogs. It's cool and all. Um, but this year, this was Lewis's demise. Lewis hit a groundhog and damaged his floor on his car, which led him to lose. They said it was 20 points of downforce. I don't know how
Because he
downforce
said
is.
he didn't know why. He just said I don't have race pace.
Yeah, he didn't have race plates, so he lost 20 points of downforce. I don't really know exactly how they calculate points of downforce, but let's just say it equated to a quarter to half a second slower per lap.
Oh, that's bad.
That's how much he lost. That's how tight these aerodynamic windows are on these vehicles. You hit a groundhog, you damage the floor of your car, and that's about it.
He still got a top 10 though.
I mean, yeah, he finished in seventh, but he could have been fighting for a podium had the groundhog decided to just not run
Yeah,
across the
I mean,
track when he
yeah,
was
like I said,
doing
he
it.
qualified fifth, so it's not
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
But
So
we all know in F1 and what I've learned that you qualify, it's just gonna be kind of hard to pass.
Lewis has been able to make up spots. That's been the thing all year. Is he hasn't qualified the greatest on Saturdays, but it's usually like say there's a race where he'll qualify 12th. Charles Leclerc will qualify in fourth, and they'll end up fifth and sixth. Lewis is able to make up his way, um, especially at this track. Montreal is one of his best tracks. He has 7 wins at this track. He has his first ever win at this track. This was a very important race for him and Ferrari, for his psyche in the car with Ferrari, for because it's one of those things. He hasn't been getting on with the car very well this season. He's still trying
Definitely.
to figure it out. But when you take that one variable of the track out to where you take him to one of his best tracks, it's like, okay, I know how this car should drive this track. So now I'm gonna need to teach you guys how to set my cars up for me so we can try and start getting all this going, you know? But
Yeah.
the fact that he dialed it in throughout the weekend. So it's just it sucks that he wasn't able to bring that to fruition, you know? But at the end, at the end of the day, they're still showing strides at Ferrari. I don't know what the next thing should be there because some people are calling for Frederick Vasseur to be let go. I don't want him to see Frederick go. Um, granted, he is an amazing um, team principal just because he's hilarious and he doesn't give a crap about what nobody says.
Hey, you need that in
But
that. You need that.
yeah, but I also think that he can steer the ship right. It's just trying to get things together and going into next year, these cars gonna be obsolete. They're gonna have a completely new car, and the whole sport's gonna be different. So let's just try and still make this year Ferrari fans and see what happens. Hopefully we can get a win or two with Lewis and Charles. But that being said, you want to talk about the big incident?
Let's get into how the guy who people believe has a chance of winning the championship, right? You run into your own teammate.
Yeah, and what's funny? Me watching F1 since '94. It's crazy how this exact incident happened to the same exact team 14 years ago. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see it 14
Norris
years ago. I saw it.
Norris
I
huh?
saw it yesterday though.
Norris runs into Piastri. He went into a hole that wasn't there.
He thought
This
the hole
time
was going to be created. He even
this
said it.
time
I thought it was
yeah.
going. And he said, he owned up to it. He says my fault.
I got to
Uh,
give Norris respect on that one cuz he went for a hole that wasn't there. He thought he was going to force Oscar, but Oscar has already shown. He showed Oscar has shown this to Max Verstappen. When you earn Max Verstappen's um respect, then you're doing something. So Oscar doesn't back down. So the hole's not there. The hole's not there, Lando. You can't expect Oscar to move, especially when you're fighting your teammate for the title. Don't go for that spot. If you're faster than him, just wait. If you would have just sat back, you could have probably gotten him on the next DRS zone or coming around to that long straight on the next lap. You had multiple chances, but you started getting too antsy. Yes, it was 3 laps to go, but you shouldn't have made that move. The only difference with this one is the car passing is the one that messed up this time. So Lando messed up. But back in 2011, when it was Lewis trying to pass Jensen Button, Jensen came over on Lewis and pushed him into the wall. So, McLaren has done this before, but in that fact, Jensen went on to win the race. With this one, Oscar didn't win the race, but he damn sure did extend his point lead in the championship because his closest rival, his teammate, got 0 points, while
For
Oscar
that.
got
Had to
12,
get out the
I think,
car.
or
Car
15.
one turn.
Yeah, car. Yeah, the front wing went under the car, sent him into the wall, broke his left suspension. The car was just toast after that. So there's nothing
Car
you could do.
straight, tire this way.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate for Lando, but I think it was some major growing. The fact that he owned up to it as soon as it happened. He said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
guys, I'm sorry, I messed up." That right there, shout out to Lando for that one. Um, this season, I mean, granted, yes, I am a Lewis Hamilton fan, but you can like multiple drivers. Um, Oscar Piastri is a beast.
Oh,
That man is a
you can't
silent
take that.
assassin, and I
You can't
love
take it
every
from him.
second of it. Huh?
You can't take that from him. Yeah.
Oh, I love every second of Oscar. I'm hoping that he wins this title this year. I mean, he's taking it to Lando, and he's doing it quietly. Like he'll give you a soundbite every 2 weeks or so, something, a little snarky,
Yeah,
funny
something to keep
quip.
it going.
Exactly, and then he's quiet and just does his business. He's
Like, all
like he's
right,
like
I'm back to business.
he's like an Australian Kimi Räikkönen. So shout out
We
to
give it up.
Oscar.
And let's give it up to Antonelli.
Kimi Antonelli, Lewis Hamilton's replacement at Mercedes, got his first podium, and he is the third youngest podium finisher in F1 history. Good to
Definitely.
see. That kid is going places.
But
Mhm.
speaking on
Mhm.
Lewis Hamilton's team, X team, let's give it up to Russell and Mercedes. Get the W.
Yeah, Mercedes got the
I
W.
can't say I hate to see it. I'm happy for them getting it. Would y'all prefer that
Listen,
Hamilton get it? Because I'm a Hamilton and Ferrari fan, yes, but hey, Russell had it.
listen. I'm about to shock you right now. I cannot remember the last time I was rooting for Max Verstappen to try and win this race. I
Wait,
was
Slim, you mean he
I
said
was like, Max, can you please just get up to George and just challenge him or something? Like,
something? Make
please, for the
please, not
love of
no
God, Max, just do
anybody but
something.
him.
I was like, man,
Anybody but him.
I was like, Max, please just catch this guy. Come on, please. I was kind of upset with myself that I was rooting for Max so hard, but I was like, please just catch this guy. Um, George drove a great race. He's a good driver. You can't take it away from George Russell. He's the team leader at Mercedes right now. I won't say he's a future champion, but he is a multi-race winner with Mercedes, and he knows how to handle that car. They have a good driver, in their ranks between him and Kimi, are a good stable of drivers. Um, so Mercedes is looking really well.
Do you think
I
they
don't.
finally got it dialed in, or this is
They're
a
not
one
going to win
off?
the. They're not going to win the constructors championship for right now. Um, Mercedes is fighting Ferrari for P2 in the constructors championship, and which is crazy is Ferrari is struggling while Mercedes is doing pretty well, and they're still neck and neck for P2. So if Ferrari can just get their stuff together,
We really want to say
then
something else, but
huh?
got you. We really want to say
Boy, you
another
know
word.
what I want to say, but I can't say that because I'm trying to be good. Ferrari needs to get their stuff together. But no, shout
Figure
out
it
to
out.
yeah, yeah, figure it out Ferrari and Mercedes. Kudos to you. You know, kudos to Russell. I love to see Kimmy doing well. I like that kid. It's just
Hey,
something about
hey,
GR63. Just
wait. Next man up. Next person up. Whether it's male or woman, but in this case, it was the man. Next man up. Third youngest gets a podium.
let me
Shout
ask you
out to that.
something. Do you know who? Okay, so that's he's the third youngest. You know who number one and number two are? Youngest podium finishers.
Lewis.
Mm-mm.
Who?
Obviously, you want to try and take a guess.
Let's see.
They're recent. I just mentioned one of them.
Piastri.
Mm-mm. Who was I just saying I wanted to win this race?
Oh, that was my next one.
Yeah,
Until you said
he.
I was gonna say Verstappen until you said you just mentioned him, so I went with Piastri.
Fair enough. So Max Verstappen is the youngest podium finisher in F1 history. Number two usually shocks everybody into. Well, I mean, not shocks everybody because if you're in the F1, you kind of know.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll.
What?
Lance Stroll is the second
Yeah,
youngest
that shocked me. That shocked me.
because when he got into F1 with Williams, he was a force to be reckoned with. Which is why I stand on business. I will die on this hill and I say that Lance Stroll is not a bad driver.
I don't think he's bad, but you don't as a person who's just now really getting into F1, right?
Hmm.
He's not one of the people that I.
He's not someone you usually would say, is conventionally good, but he's had his mess ups. He has for sure had his mess ups,
Mhm.
but he's shown glimpses of potential. Um, I would say he's not holding a spot away from a more deserving driver. That's the best thing I can say. Because some people will say, this guy really is he really sucks. He's holding a spot for someone else better. Granted, his dad owns a team, sure, whatever, but
So what?
he,
You got to get it in somehow, some way.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
um,
knock people for those type of opportunities because if you had that opportunity, I don't care. I
yeah,
do unless you own the team. You going? I don't care if your dad owns Twitch or is the CEO of Twitch. You like put me on the front page. Oh,
hmm
you're only on the front page because your dad owns Twitch. So so
so with with all that being said, one more thing. I know I didn't mention it before, but we're not journalists, so we don't got to check our sources. I go by rumors and hearsay. So I heard stuff going on during the F1 race that they talked about. So my source is David Croft and Martin Brundle during the race. Fernando Alonso
you still
was
naming the
in
source.
yeah, Fernando Alonso was in the Alpine motor coach 4 to 5 times a weekend. So we might be seeing a change to Aston Martin coming up. Fernando might be going to Alpine next year. I think that could be a possibility.
You think it's a
Like
good
I've
thing?
been standing on from forever. Honda is going to be the engine supplier for Aston Martin next year.
Mm.
Honda is a Japanese manufacturer. They their track record, they always demand that a Japanese driver be in their cars. Who's the only Japanese driver on the circuit? Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull's going to Ford next year. Honda's going to Aston Martin. Red Bull right now has Yuki, and he pretty sure will not be staying. So where is he probably going to jump ship to? Aston Martin. So, and I don't think Lance Stroll's going anywhere, at least for right now. So yeah, I think we could see some shakeup coming maybe later this season with the silly
Y'all make
season
sure y'all
rumors
clip
or
that. That's definitely a soundbite for y'all. Just to let y'all know.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I think Yuki will be an Aston Martin driver next year, and Fernando will be either not driving, retired, or with Alpine. Because that second Alpine seat is definitely up for grabs. Because they already got rid of Jack Doohan, and Franco Colapinto is not doing much better. Why not put a 43-year-old Fernando Alonso in there? I don't think he should
Yeah.
be in there, but it is what it is.
Hey, who am I to tell the next person who they should put in there, who they shouldn't?
But moving on to the other open wheel series we have over here in the States.
Yes,
Did you see the beginning of that IndyCar race?
I
The
did.
on the pace lap?
Yes.
Those explosion? Why
How?
does Gateway do that?
How?
I don't understand
How?
why Gateway does an explosion before the race. I understand fireworks, but a straight up explosion.
They said forget the fireworks. Fireworks. We got something better than that.
Yeah. Just put some C4 and just detonate along the back straight. Insane. Like it was cool, but man, that was weird. So we had Will Power on pole. Really cool name for anybody who hasn't gotten into IndyCar. Yes, his name is Will Power. It's crazy.
That's one of the
Um,
best. I
he
mean, you gotta think that's a dope name.
he drives for Penske, of course, because why not? Um, so yeah. Will Power on pole. You had Scott McLaughlin, another Penske driver, in second place,
Let's keep putting them everywhere.
and literally everywhere. And then you had David Malukas driving for AJ Foyt, a Penske satellite team, in third place. Um, yeah, so David Malukas on the first lap powers around the outside and takes the lead from Will Power. David Malukas has shown that he can be a very strong driver. I know you weren't really following this too much last year, but Malukas was actually signed to McLaren, the IndyCar team
Yeah.
last year.
No, I didn't know.
He he was signed to them, but he didn't get a chance to drive because he broke his wrist or
I
broke his
heard that.
arm
I did hear about that.
before the season started and missed out on, I want to say, the first 5 or 6 races. So McLaren just terminated his contract. It's really unfortunate, because he was driving for, I don't know, you know the name, Rick Ware.
Rick Will Racing. Yep.
He was driving for Rick Ware Racing and Del Coyne back in 2023. That he performed so well that McLaren wanted him for 2024. So for him to have that happen to him was really unfortunate. So now he falls back um to AJ Foyt Racing for this season. And AJ Foyt Racing is kind of like what Richard Petty
Yeah.
Racing
Yeah.
was in NASCAR. They're not a fast team, but it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's one of the legacy names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're trying to keep that name in there. Um, but now they have a satellite relationship with Penske, to where their drivers are now beginning to use Penske resources to help improve themselves, right? So
Makes
with that
sense.
being said, David Lucas took the lead very early in the race, and it was dominating early, and Will Power was doing his best to catch him until he cut a tire and went into the wall, which was pretty unfortunate. So Will Power was out of the race.
And seeing those
Um,
crashes, like with that type of car, man, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes when I be like, oh, when I see NASCAR crashes and stuff like that, and some
mhm,
of them could be very, we
yeah.
talked about the Ryan Priestes and stuff like that. What's the one where the dude whole truck last year that junk became a shell? Remember that one? It was which I forgot what NASCAR thing where the truck just like whoosh. I don't know if it was at the duels or what it was last year, but the whole shell, like all you saw was the shell of the truck. I forgot which
I
one
remember
it
that one.
was.
I remember that
So,
one.
but when you see those, you're like, oh man, but the open wheel, I always feel like it's like God forbid seeing a motorcycle crash.
So you're talking about the Joseph Newgarden crash later.
Yes, the one with the new guard, and I think that really changed the pace of the whole race.
Did you see? Um, did you watch that race all or no?
I know I did.
Okay, so I don't want to be funny or cheeky, but this was something that they had mentioned earlier, and it was really odd. Newgarden was leading the race,
Hmm.
and they said Newgarden is dominating right now at Gateway. Let's break the commercial. So about to break the commercial, they have all these little still shots, of Newgarden doing this, and making all the gestures, looking all cool. And then before they break the commercial, they just cut back to the race, and you see his car upside down, and it's like
I told you
that wasn't supposed to happen there. What just
they
you
be
just leading?
jinxing. They just be jinxing these people.
You saw how the crash happened?
I did not see how it happened though.
Okay, so you had I don't want to call him a back marker, but I guess he was kind of a back marker at the time. A car was about to get lapped. Louis
Hmm.
Foster. So with IndyCar, with NASCAR, right? You have your high line and your low
Your low
line,
line. Yep.
stuff like that. With IndyCar, you quote unquote have your high line and your low line, but this is your high line, this is your low line. With NASCAR, your high line's up here, so you
Hmm.
have low, middle, high. With IndyCar, low line, high line, maybe kind of like crossover like this, maybe that much.
Okay.
That's as much space as they get, probably like that, right?
Jeez.
So what happened is he was going around the outside of a car, and his car just barely touched the marbles on the outside. So some marbles on the
Some
outside, the car
daggone marbles.
becomes on skates,
Yep.
right? So then he goes and hits the wall. And I know you've heard this term a lot recently with the new NASCAR cars, the new NASCAR Cup cars. He hit the wall and he broke his rear toe link,
Yeah. We used to
right?
do that. It's Rap City.
He broke his rear toe link, and with those cars, I mean, his rear tires turned like this instead of straight,
Yeah.
so he's trying to hold on to it. He lost all steering input, so then he hits the wall, comes across the way, and in front of Joseph Newgarden was another car. So Joseph is tucked up behind this car. You see another car speeding across
Yep.
his way. The guy moves out, and then Joseph just sees Louis Foster coming across the track, and he usually they say is go where they're not. So Joseph tries to go low to where Louis is
He's
not, but
not.
then Louis
Yeah.
closes the door, hops, car flips, hits the pit wall, and skids for a while. And then when it
That's what I'm
stops,
saying. When I saw
it's
that,
leaking fluid, leaking gas.
I was just like, yo. I was like,
Yeah.
that's why I say when I see those type of crap, I'm just like, yo, that's
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
And they're not even at the top level. So when you see crashes like that, you just be like, it sucks. I be like, I ain't gonna lie, I don't get squirmish, but you just be like, yo, like eyes just
Mhm.
open, like I know
Yeah.
that just not happened.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. It was crazy. Glad to see him walk away from that one because that was unexpected. Unexpected. So, um, yeah, obviously after the crash, he didn't want to talk to reporters. He was like, I just want to go back to my team, and
Yeah.
fair play to him. Who would really want to talk to reporters after something like that
I'm
happens,
like that.
especially
I'm
while you're
like,
leading?
it's like you be like, obviously as a reporter, you're doing your job, right?
Yeah.
But you also respect it when you be like, I could have just died. Now, granted, every time they get in these cars, these type of situations could have been, excuse me, YouTube unalived, right?
Yeah.
So with that happening, and then something like that where you're having an almost unalive experience, and
Yeah.
you in a crash involved, heck no, I don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to the man up above, say thank you. I'm gonna call my wife or my family member, whatever. I'm going back to the team. Make sure I ain't got no concussion. Try to get my head straight on what just happened.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And
So
then because they got to go back and replay that
yeah,
to be like,
gotta
okay,
go try and
what
figure out what's
went
going
wrong?
on there. So no, I get it. So yeah, glad like I said, glad New Garden is okay.
Let's
And then
speak on Rasmussen.
he drove an amazing race. Christian Rasmussen drove an amazing race. So they tallied it up. He passed the duration of the race. So there are 25 cars total
Mhm.
in that race. He passed 76 cars.
So that means, ladies
76
and
cars.
gentlemen, I'm not the best in math. This is a math guy right here, but not me. But that means he passed almost the double.
Triple.
No, double. Could I be fit?
Triple.
No, my fault. I told you I'm sorry. I told you I'm bad at math. I just told you guys I'm bad at math. Hey, Slim. I just told you I'm bad at math. Yes, 25 times 3 is 75. So, yes, 3 times. How do you do that?
The guy was quick, and the crazy part about it is the second he passed 76 cars, the second most was 38. This man constantly kept falling back and then just falling back and just moving his way up the field. First ever podium for the driver from Denmark. I don't really
Then he
know
had an
who you
issue.
call someone from Denmark, but yeah, I don't know you call a driver from Denmark, but no, he did really well. Um, for him to get that podium driving for Ed Carpenter Racing. I mean, I'd say
76 cars.
Pe- Penske's cars, all three falling out the race definitely opened up an opportunity for other drivers last night. So that was really good to see. Um, and with that being said, it was interesting because Chevy was dominant. Chevy was dominant throughout that race, and then a little Honda comes home, and the Florida boy Kyle Kirkwood to sneak home a win. Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood from Andretti Global, teammate to my favorite driver, um, Colton Herta. Kyle Kirkwood from Jupiter, Florida. So I got to shout out the Florida boy there. 3 wins for Kyle Kirkwood. 3 out of the
Indeed.
last 6 races. He's I'm not gonna say it's
Can't
been
you
Alex
say
Palou, huh?
they would? I found this out. Like I said, just not really starting to get into Indy. They
Hmm.
used to just say, "Oh, get him streetcar." He's fine. But what can he do when you really put him on this type of track? And he's shown.
This is
So
his first oval win, and it's also his first non-street course win. So it's interesting because his title rival Alex Palou got his first oval win in the biggest oval race of the year, but Alex won 5 of the first 6 races, and Kyle has won 3 of the last 6 races.
now,
So out of 8 races right now, it's 5-3 Alex, but Kyle is coming on strong
do you think he's done enough to solidify himself as like the next step when it comes to
as as a title contender.
yes?
I mean, right now, uh, I think is he second in points? He might be. If he's not second in points, he might be third. But I mean, I'm gonna check on that. But I think he has solidified himself as
He's
a.
third.
He's third. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he's how far back is he?
He's only 2 points behind Ower.
Paddle award. Okay, so 75 points. I still think this is Alex Belou's championship to lose,
I mean, he's
but
usually yeah.
but for Kyle Kirkwood, 3 wins on the season is pretty good. The question is, looking at the schedule, let's see. For looking at the schedule, we have Road America coming up,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, Alex Palou is a machine when it comes to road courses. Period.
Will Power won that last year.
Will Power won it last year, but Alex Palou is just on another level there. So we have Road America coming up, and after that we have Mid Ohio, and then we get the double at Iowa, Streets of Toronto, then Laguna Seca, Portland, and then 2 old races left. Um, Out of the let's see how many races we got. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9 races left in the season. I think Alex Palou is going to probably win. I'm going to say 4 more races. So Alex Palou is going to have 9 wins on the season. Not eight. I'll say 8 to 9 wins on the season. I don't think anybody's going to catch him. I think that Paddle Award and Kyle Kirkwood will be fighting for second place. Um, which I mean is not bad. It's not bad, but Alex Palou's on another level this year. Even though he won Indy, ovals still aren't Palou's best tracks, and he finished 8th yesterday. He is a la Scott Dixon or Jimmy Johnson, to where he might not be on a strong track, but he knows how to finish high. So you're gonna have to really hope for some attrition for Alex Palou for these drivers to be able to for them to muster up a challenge for the championship.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to catch him. Kind of like Oscar Piastri in F1.
Yeah.
That's what Alex Palou is right now. And the funny part about it is those two are actually intertwined. I want to get into that tangent real quick
Okay.
because um so back in 2022, 2023, after Alex's championship win, trying to put my arm on my little H pattern shifter here.
Don't
So
break it.
after Alex Palou's championship win,
Mm-hmm.
McLaren F1 wanted to sign Alex Palou. They were going to sign Alex Palou, and within that time, um, Chip Ganassi was like, hell, you're going to sign him? He got a contract with me. So, either y'all going to pay for this contract or we're going to find out what happens. Ganassi went on to sue Alex Palou for breach of contract.
Mm.
So after that, and McLaren was like, okay, I guess we can't take this guy. And then Alpine announced, hey, we just signed Oscar Piastri to a deal. And Oscar, I don't know if you've seen this one, Oscar was like, yeah, this was posted without my knowing. I didn't sign a contract with Alpine. Because at that time, Oscar was an Alpine reserve driver.
Yeah.
So, you know, after Alpine took that down 2 weeks later, McLaren said, hey, we signed Oscar Piastri to drive for us in 2023. So McLaren couldn't get Alex Palou ended up getting Oscar Piastri. Now look at the two dominating their sports.
It's crazy how that
How
comes
that
full
happens,
circle, right?
right? So it just, I'll go on that tangent. It's just interesting how that happened. But they're mimicking each other right now. These two are the dominant drivers in the major open wheel series this year, and it's their championship to lose, both Piastri and Palou. I think that they're gonna win their titles. So
Like I said, it's there to lose. So you have that. Now, granted, it's pressure bust pipes, right? So some people can deal with it, some people can't. I'm not saying these drivers can't, but it's gonna be interesting. I mean, obviously, certain things will have to happen for them to lose, but
Alex Palou is a surgeon. The Alex Palou and Oscar Piastri are both cold blooded. I'm not gonna say cold blooded. I would say cold blooded assassins, but they're just cold blooded. It
mhm.
takes a lot to see them tick. You know,
Yeah,
they go about their business. So I don't see them getting rattled at all this season. They might have a hiccup here and there, but at the end of the day, they're both going to do whatever it takes to get that title.
I mean, hey, you gotta respect people that's gonna go all out and put it all out at the end of the day and put it all
Hmm
out there. Especially in any sport, you don't want a person to half-ass it.
And they
Either
do
do it all or don't do it at all.
and they do it with respect at the end of the day as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the next IndyCar race coming up, and that's
the next
June twenty
IndyCar, yeah,
second.
June
Oh,
22nd. So we got
that's
this weekend.
that's this weekend. Is that this weekend?
Yes, it is.
Oh man, that is Sunday.
We got Road
Dang,
America. That's
Road
coming on
America's
at
on Sunday.
1:30. So you
Man,
figure you got that.
yeah, okay.
F1 takes a week off.
Yes, yes, they do.
IMSA has some stuff going on.
This weekend?
Yes.
What IMSA got going on this weekend? Let's see here.
IMSA has
Oh, it's the Watkins Glen 6 hour is this weekend. Ooh, we got some more racing. Okay, so we got trucks on
mhm,
Friday. We got Watkins Glen 6 hour and Xfinity on Saturday. And Sunday we got IndyCar and Cups.
Cup. So you go. So after watching IndyCar, you can go straight to Cup.
Yeah.
Might overlap each other, but that's why you got. I got two phones, two monitors, a whole bunch of TVs, and
And
some
Cup is on
tablets.
Prime also. So
Yeah, so I'll definitely have to watch that. Depending on where I'm at on Sunday. Sometimes I'm not in the house, and I hate that because I want to be right there watching. And I
listen,
don't want it to
I
buffer.
I watched the F1 race first this weekend because I was like, I know on Prime, even when I record it, I can just, you know,
Yeah,
watch the race and fast forward to the commercials and catch up to live eventually anyway. So it's all good. But no, another good weekend of racing coming up. Excited for it.
definitely, definitely. I'm like, like I said, we NASCAR. I think is still up in the air. Who's going to win what
Hmm
championship? I just think all these different winners. We're up to what 11?
Hmm?
How many different winners we've had this
In
year?
NASCAR, I'm gonna say 9.
I think it was 9 last week. Let me see.
You got the standings right here. So going by wins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm about to say
Oh,
we was at.
and SVG's 30th in points after that win. So I guess he kind of fulfills what we talked about earlier about being in the top 30.
I'm okay with that. Like I said, it's good. It's good to shake it up a little bit. Hey, it puts everybody else on notice. Like, hey, and so F1, like you said, it's Piastri's to lose.
Hmm
Alex Paulo, I definitely think in IndyCar. I mean, like you said, he's 75 points good. So before he's for what you call him, Kirkwood to catch him. Autoward is 73. So don't think I'm not saying they can't catch him, but he's got to have some bad situations happen. And I'm not saying that can happen as much as it do in NASCAR. NASCAR they get that stretch of like
Yeah.
DNFs, just being in the
Yeah.
wrong place, pit issues, all that. IndyCar,
No.
I don't see that happening, but not saying it couldn't happen.
No.
But
Alex Palou. Definitely. Oh, I forgot to change my wheel out for this. I was supposed to change my wheel
For the
to the
open.
GT wheel.
Mm,
Yeah, I forgot to do that. I'm
noobs.
sorry. Well, whatever, you know. And this thing's on tight now. Uh-oh. I really can't get it off, can I?
What was you doing?
Huh?
What was you doing? Where
Oh,
you
man.
put Gorilla Glue on it?
I might have just tightened it up a little too much. There it goes. All right. So this was for the NASCAR event, or NASCAR part of the, you know,
And look, it's a McLaren
podcast.
one. Oh,
Here we
where's your
go. Oh,
Ferrari one?
and it's McLaren.
You're a Lewis Hamilton fan. You don't have a
Lewis
Ferrari
Hamilton
one,
started off in McLaren.
but you don't have a Mercedes one. You don't have a
They don't make a
Ferrari one.
Mercedes one. They don't make a Ferrari one.
I ain't gonna lie.
So
I still like that Thrustmaster Ferrari joint, open wheel. That joint gets
not as
me.
good as this, but you know,
I just want one with
it
the digital dash.
it's all good, you know. But oh, and as you know, I'm repping my Tupac shirt. This will be the
Happy
54th
birthday to
birthday.
Tupac.
Happy 54th Tupac, one of the greatest West Coast MCs ever. So had to rock the Tupac shirt today.
Definitely, definitely. But like Cal said, it's been wonderful weekend of racing, and we got another one that's coming up, and it starts Friday,
Can't
and
wait.
it's gonna start at 5 p.m. at Pocono. So y'all
5
make
p.m.
sure y'all like the live. Make sure y'all following Cal on Twitch if you ain't already doing that. Make sure you subscribe and follow him and hit that bell on Apex Hunting and Smack Like That, so y'all know when we dropping stuff and when we going live. We're gonna be uploading clips. So that's why we try to record on Mondays, so it's easier to upload clips either Tuesday going into Wednesday, so we can get ready for the new race week. So make
Yep.
sure y'all check us out on all social media platforms, on TikTok, Instagram, and on Twitch and YouTube. Smack Like That, Apex Hunting. This is the Corner Entry Podcast, and we appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all next week.
Appreciate y'all. Be safe. Have a great week.
Smack Like That.